Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our fourth and final session on arts integration through UBD with our guest presenter, Sherry Norfolk. We've had a great series so far. We've talked about some really fantastic ideas, some really innovative and revolutionary ways of looking at things. And I believe our focus of this last session is to try to flesh out some ideas a little bit more, see what you've been thinking about over the last couple of weeks about a project or a unit, or even just an approach to part of your practice that has been informed by your learning through arts integration through this series. So I'm going to turn it over to Sherry. But before I do that, I just want to remind everybody, if you want to put questions or whatnot in the chat, if you just don't want to interrupt someone while they're speaking, go ahead and do that. I am recording this session, so I'll make the recording link available to you later. Did I send out session 3 recording link? I can't remember if I sent that out to you or not. I'll look in my sent folder, but something tells me that I forgot to send out the previous session's link now that I think about it. But I'll send both of those, session 3 and this session, when I send out my follow-up. And also at the end of today's session, I will provide you with an exit survey on your experience for this professional learning opportunity. Again, it does not have to be completed right away. You don't have to do it immediately or right now. I would actually rather you reflect on the entire experience and then be able to provide your thoughtful feedback, because that helps me design professional learning opportunities that are of maximum benefit and use to you. When you do complete that survey, you'll get a link to your professional development certificate, which will give you contact hours for this experience. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sherry.
Thank you. So last time we met, you guys were coming up with some really exciting projects. And then we gave each other ideas and feedback. And the hope was that you would have a little bit of time. And I know a little bit is probably even more than you had, but that you've had a little bit of time to integrate some of those ideas, to maybe talk to some other folks, and to elaborate on what you had started with. So that's what we want to hear about. And then if you want more input, if you have other places that you would like to grow, then let us know and we'll see what we can do. Who would like to go first? I know that some people have very, very crowded schedules today. So let's see if, I know Sarah needs to leave early. Alexis, did you say you need to leave a little early? No. Okay. Sarah needs to leave a little early. Sarah, do you want to go first?
Well, actually, Sarah, if I could just stop you there for a second. Jessica Hamilton-Jones needs to leave at 4:20. So I'm wondering if she might go first, and then Sarah needs to leave at 5. So in my mind, I kind of stacked everybody about who I thought might go first. So yeah. So Jessica Hamilton-Jones, if you want to jump in first, go right ahead.
Yeah, I'm very upset that I've had a bunch of different things happening and have had to miss a couple of these sessions. I had a meeting with the superintendent, so you can't say no to that meeting and you can't reschedule. So anyway, and now there's parent-teacher conferences. Because I've missed so much, I don't think I have much to offer other than we had started off really inspired, and we had a good Google Doc working in our group. And I came up with a full list of ideas for a possible larger integrated project. We were talking about involving water, and I had some ideas for some Native American input into a unit on water. Mm-hmm. So we were all we haven't had a chance to mull all of the ideas together that I'm aware of, other than looking at that Google document. So I think we get more out of Sarah speaking than I would, but I've really enjoyed this, and I hope that Sarah and the rest of us will still continue forward with this so that we can report back on something good to you soon.
Jessica, you were working with Suzanne and Lisa, is that right?
Yeah.
And I know that you all have to get off, but can you give us like just one little hint of something that y'all are talking about that you're really excited about?
All right. Let me pull up my document. Hold on. Where is it?
My notes, and they may be inaccurate. We're talking about compassion cups with
Yep,
the 3D printer.
Yep, that was Suzanne's idea. And I've got to find mine. Anyone? Let me put in here. Oops. Do you want to come back to me after Sarah? Oh, here it is, my arts integration. It's one of these days. All right, so let's see. From me, I said I had my 2 a.m. big brain idea. It was inspired by Sarah. The work that she's done really inspired me. She did a thing on the project for the Long Walk to Water. I was also inspired by Lisa, did a yarn bomb project that she was talking about, and Suzanne had some ideas about water mains, and she knows a lot about outdoor canoeing experiences and incorporating that in art. I thought that I had an amazing group of colleagues to work with that I was very happy about. So my project was for our teachers or our group to bring awareness and raise funds for, I wanted to find a Maine Native American group that works to keep the various bodies of water healthy. I know that there's lots of work in environmental stewardship and sustainable practices and all that sort of thing that our Native Americans in this area are working on. And I think it would be awesome to be able to give to them something and teach the students how important water was to the Native Americans in Maine. So that I went on for a couple of things that this unit would be about, learning about the history, communication. Students would learn about new cultures, respect, understanding social justice issues that Native Americans face, maybe building bridges to have people work to solve problems regarding a body of water. The young kids now being able to do this should help them in the future when they actually have jobs that could maybe, if they'll have to face water issues in the future, I'm sure, more than our generation would. So sort of a generational sense of communicating.
And that is also very exciting.
Yeah, students would learn about art and culture of the Maine Native Americans and understand the spiritual symbolism, spirituality, folklore, and traditions all around water. Students would learn about obviously science for, like, we're near the Kennebec River, so that would be probably our Waterville body of water that we'd do. If another teacher was near a different body of water, it would be different. So there would certainly be science, climate change, environmental issues that they'd learn about. Math skills would be about raising money for a cause.
Wow.
Certainly outdoor physical education for going on canoe rides or walking along these bodies of water, maybe picking up trash, that sort of a thing. I was hoping Suzanne might have some more input on that end of it. The social emotional aspects would be positive reinforcement that students gain through giving to others. They would work to build positive connections with the community at large, which inspired me about a project that Lisa had done. Then I said, you know, each of us are in a different work with a different age group, and so we'd have to tailor whatever our projects were going to be. That's why I didn't know how to pull all of these sort of things together. So like each teacher might have a different project that they make. So I said I would, the options were we could follow in Sarah's footsteps and do peace flags. I was thinking of maybe using natural materials to make like wreaths, cornhusk dolls, something that speaks to the Native American culture, possibly. Um, I have some ideas about making bowls out of paper or things out of paper. Things, oh, Sarah had mentioned a thing about some lobster twine turned into lights. You know, how could we do that? I'd have to do it on a much smaller scale, but that might be something interesting. An event could be small boats with lanterns floating down the river for a sort of a celebration, and certainly documentary type videos of kids working on projects, and that different students could share that way if we can't actually get together with students from different areas in Maine. So that's sort of about it. I said it's kind of an over the top idea, but I haven't had enough time to focus it, but I think there's a lot of ways to sort of try to integrate that. So
Having all those ideas means that those are things that you can offer to your teachers and say, you know, what appeals to you? What would you like to work on? And as you said, not every, you know, at different grade levels, they'll choose different projects, and that'll be a really, really rich environment for learning. And just the fact that all of those ideas bubbled up, that shows that there's an awful lot of excitement about that. I think that's really exciting. Thank you so much. Does anybody have anything they would like to suggest or ask questions before she has to go?
I would just like to say one thing, that it was really great being in your group, Jessica. And because I'm alone and there were three of you, it was really wonderful to get the energy of all of you working together. So thank you for that. And I wanted to just say one other thing is, if you do a service-based project, maybe at some point I would love to be able to Zoom with your class, with our class, so the kids could talk about what, you know, did they enjoy the service-based? How did it work? What did you do versus what we did? I just think that would be really cool if you want to do it. So if you do, let me know.
yeah, do you have my information or on that sheet? Did Suzanne end up sharing that document with you?
I think, yes, she did. And I'll have to, I don't know where it is. I'm always bad at figuring out how to get stuff off the chat. But if you put it in there right now,
Want me to put
I
my,
would use the high-tech pen and paper to write it down.
will you do the same? I've got my Sharpie.
Sure. Oh, good.
These connections are the most valuable ever. I love to see people making these connections and moving forward that way.
Yeah, I think the idea of Zooming with different students in different schools is really a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
Then they feel kind of like they're connected to Maine.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes our community a little bit more, you know. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, and I just wanted to say, Sherry, that this has been really awesome. I've learned a lot from you, and like I said, I'm very disappointed that this particular time I had too many little things come in and cause problems, but I've really learned a lot. You're very inspiring, and this has really been wonderful.
Thank you so much. It's been wonderful working with you too. I can't wait to hear what happens with this project.
Yes, I'd like to follow up when we.
Yes, please.
Things out. I'd love that.
My goal is for us to see Sherry again. So, and Sherry and I have talked about that a little bit. So our hope is that Sherry will be coming back to us at another time to help draw that circle even wider and give us that, give more people that inspiration for sure.
I can't wait.
Well, thank you, Jessica. I guess we could pass it to Sarah next if you wanted to jump in, Sarah, and elaborate and flesh out a little bit.
Sure. Well, we're still making peace flags, and as of right now, we've raised $1,141, which is pretty cool. And our goal is 2,501. So we're going to make wreaths and we're going to do some things over the year. But one thing that I did take from last week is to get it out there. So the social studies and ELS teacher are going to be contacting this. She's going to choose a student to contact the Ellsworth American and our local paper to do a report on what's going on. And we're also going to do, hopefully, this is not my part of it, but I'm going to work with the kids if necessary to do a video that we can put on our Facebook page about the project. So that was a great idea, and I hadn't thought about that. So we're going to do it by hook or by crook. It might be a couple weeks, but because the holidays and we were remote last week, so we've had a little bit of a sort of disruption. But we are doing water. Not all the classes in the entire school are making the prayer flags, but a lot of I would say more than half of the grades are doing things on water. And when you were saying things, Jessica, about water symbols, in third grade they were studying rivers and water. And in our STEAM class, we went back and researched water symbols that throughout culture and history, and looked at what they meant or why they were created. And then the kids made their own water symbols, what it related. And then we made plaster castings of their symbols. So this water symbols was really a fun thing. I'm glad you brought it up. So thanks. In terms of integration, I think we're doing a lot of that with this project. I certainly could do more. And I wish, that time is such a awful thing when there's not enough of it. And I'm feeling that right now. So, but anyway, this has been great. And it's really gotten me thinking about how better to integrate.
Well, you're already integrating science and social studies and ELS and SEL, and obviously several different ways to do visual art. So, the thing is that these kinds of projects do have a tendency to just keep on growing, and, finding new connections. And there's not enough time to do it all, but the more teachers that get hooked on it, the bigger it grows and the more exciting it becomes. So, and Sarah, you've been inspiring all of us. So you're the roots of a lot of it.
Thank you. I will say one thing that I don't do enough of is, and part of it is that in our school, the music teacher's not here the same time as I am. So like I try to do things with music because I feel like it's like the sister of the art that I do. And that's a real tough one. And I don't know how you do it in your class, Barbara, if you get to work with the art teachers, but because we're not in the same building, it's so frustrating. Like last year, I heard this wonderful local musician singing about our woods. And I loved her music, and I was walking with my dogs and they loved it too. I know they did, even though they probably didn't hear it because it was in my headphones. But I wrote to her and said, would you be willing to work with our kids, creating teaching them your songs and we would go out in the woods and do a video of them performing her song. And also, could you Zoom with them? And this woman was wonderful. Her name is Elsie Gower. And if you ever get a chance to hear her sing, she's fabulous. She's from Lincolnville. And she did. She met us on a Zoom with the kids. The kids had questions, and and she had answers and she had questions. And then the music teacher took it and had them learn her songs. And the music teacher's limited because she only has a little bit of time. So we didn't get to do the video in the woods where they were acting it out while they were singing. But I wish that there would be a workshop on how to better utilize each other when we're not in the same building. And maybe that's not possible, but I wish it was.
Zoom might make it possible, though.
That's a good point. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, it's making a lot of things possible that we would never have thought of. And you might be able to Zoom into each other's classrooms.
Oh, that would be, yeah, I never even thought of that. Yeah, which would mean doing it on my day off, which,
Yeah,
okay,
well.
I guess.
Yeah, so what else is new?
Yeah, I don't do anything else then anyway. So.
Yeah, I mean, I just think about the professional learning opportunities that we have now. I mean, were we to have done this in non-Zoom world, you know, we would have condensed an experience with Sherry into a day, maybe two, because
Right.
that, you know, in terms of time and travel and all of that, it just would. And I think having the opportunity to have a week in between sessions gives you a chance to think, reflect, plan, process, trial, run something, and all that. So yeah, this Zoom world is a new frontier that I think we're starting to harness some of the best things from it. Go ahead, Sarah.
Well, I have a great idea. I mean, it's an idea. What if you had one of these things where it was visual art teachers and music teachers, so that it would be a collaboration. We could work to, you know, like my music teacher and Barbara, your art teacher, and we could do collaborations via this, set them up so that we are primed when we're going back to our school.
I'll do you one better, Sarah. How about if we did it by teams, and it was you and the music teacher from your school and a math teacher from your school and a science teacher from your school and an ELA teacher from your school, and you all went down this journey together. It looked just like the Wizard of Oz. You're all going down the yellow brick road and you're
Good
exploring.
point.
You never know
Yep.
what's around the corner, but you're going to find. What if it was something like that, Sarah?
Okay.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, without anyone else involved. That's a good point. Yep. Point well taken, Jason.
No, I'm being serious though. What if it really could be like that? What if the horizon could look like that? Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yes, it would. Yes, it would.
So you never really can tell what the future may hold.
No, that's true.
I think I'm going to move to Maine. It sounds like a good place
Come
to
on,
be.
Sherry. We got lots of great places to live in the state. You'll love it. I'm not sure if you're a snow fan or not, but come on up. You got to run, Jessica? All right. She looks like she's hopping out.
Yeah.
Speaking of Jessica, I think Jessica Lopez, you just waved your hand, didn't you? Did you want to hop in next or have some other feedback?
I guess both a little bit. The more I listen to everybody, the more I'm getting a little bit upset because I feel like I've been a teacher for 17 years, and this year I am the most uninspired, and just all of your ideas, I don't feel like any of that would be embraced at the schools where I work. And I work with such little kids, and they're so needy because of they're so needy. And sorry, first grade, we just started learning how to draw like a complete human figure in, you know, not you know, in a professional way, but you get it. First grade style, complete human figure, head, neck, torso, arms, legs, no sticks, no lines for limbs, but like, you know, showing clothing and detail. What else could I bring to that besides let's draw our own self-portraits? So we talked about detail, we talked about, you know, what we look like, and paying attention to where your limbs connect to your body. And we talked about hair and eyeglasses and skin tone. But how can I take that further? Because they've done a good job so far with the drawing, but I'd like to take it one step further. And I don't know in which direction to go. Does anybody have an idea?
One idea is to call it a selfie
Well,
because
I did call it, because when I said self-portrait, it took them a while. I was pointing to the words on the board. I said, what do you think the word self means? And then they didn't get it. So, but one kid knew what portrait meant. So then I went back to self and I said, well, where have you seen this word before? And I mentioned the word selfie and they all got it.
Yeah,
But
that's the one they know these days. And if you wanted to connect to ELA, have them eventually write about who they are or who they're going to be, what they're going to be when they grow up, how they're going to use their body. I use my strong arms or whatever, so that they're thinking about themselves, but they're also writing about it.
okay,
That's just one idea.
bring in a writing element. I thought so too. Even though they can't write, they'll be able to read it, but nobody else will be able to. But that's okay.
Do they have any technology, Jessica, in your building? Do they have laptops or iPads or anything like that?
They have iPads, but they don't really encourage the specialists to use them with the kids. It's considered a pain in the ass, essentially, for them
Well,
to
too
bring to
bad.
the art room.
Too bad you're going to use it. So they can record audio or video of themselves doing the same sort of storytelling, and they can use that technology. They can engage with that. So if they can't write it, but they can practice speaking it and talking about themselves and how they, and maybe why did they choose to draw themselves in the way that they did? Maybe they feel that their ears are, it's not drawing negative attention to them, but it would give them an opportunity to provide insight into why they drew themselves the way they did. So I would say, I wouldn't care if anybody was discouraging you from doing it or not. If the students have access to the technology, you should be having them use it. So I think that's a fine approach. And I just threw in the chat, looking at proportions in math and proportions of the body, how helping them figure out how to draw a proportionate size and what proportions are. And I realize that they're littles, they're young, but you can still talk about balance and, big things and small things and all that. So
We've started talking about proportions and how, your fingers shouldn't be drawn bigger than your arm. And your feet should be smaller than your torso, things like that. And they're actually using the word torso, which they think of, it's like super sophisticated when they say it. So it's been a good unit so far, but thank you for those ideas. I'm definitely going to have them write a little, and yeah, no, those are good ideas. And Sarah, I'm reading yours right now. Thank you for those.
I was thinking just like movement and like an act. What are they doing in their self-portrait? Like I usually try to have like an action. Like if they like soccer, are they kicking the ball? What does the leg look like? And you could have like them take pictures of each other making this motion and then looking at the lines of how that looks. That's usually what I try to throw in. It makes them more personal to them. If they like to dance, like it tells more about them. So that's usually what I will throw in with my self-portraits.
Yeah, the self-portrait right now just has them standing straight, like with arms at their sides. That was our first step, but I think the next one is going to be forming like a Gumby style thing out of pipe cleaners and then tracing around it to get kind of like an action shape. And then maybe, I like your idea of taking a photograph, but using technology is such a pain. It's like, I'm not going to get into it, but it's like a really difficult situation bringing technology to the art room. Like everybody gets all freaked out about it. But okay, thank you for all your comments.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for bringing all those ideas together. Everybody came up with great ideas, and that's another one I would really like to see what comes next out of that. I did want to mention a book called Alphabet City. It's an old book, but each page is a photograph of something in a city that has the shape of an A or a B or a C or a D. So the kids have to find it in the picture. And that's another, it's a great way to help them do recognition of letters. And then I have them go around the classroom or go around the school and again, find not the printed letters, but to find the shapes within the school. And you can do that in artwork as well, you know. So showing them pieces of art you want them to see and helping them see the shapes and the letters within them. Just wanted to mention that.
Thank you.
Sure. So maybe we should take our break now and then what do you think? Does that seem like a good idea?
Sure, absolutely. So is everybody comfortable with 5 minutes tonight? Because since we're a smaller group, is that okay? All right, let's take a 5-minute break and we'll come back. Let's see. Let me look at my clock here. I have 4:51. So let's go 4:56. Can we do that? All right, perfect. All right, we'll see you back in a couple minutes.
Okay. Well, I've done a lot of integrating, but I think I'm always integrating. Most of the time, without even really realizing it or thinking about it. But now that I'm getting further into this, I am thinking about it even more, and talking a lot more with my peers about what they're doing in their classrooms. And like last week or 2 weeks ago when we met, I mentioned that we were doing landforms in 4th grade. Well, I talked with her some more, and she says what she really has she has a hard time is getting enough time to teach the states. I'm busy right now. Sorry. And so I worked a project together for my 4th graders on a way to help them to work on states and capitals. So I will share with you what I've done, and we've started this project. Let me open up my screen so I can show you what I've done. And I'm ready for any feedback on this, but let me see if I can find it here. Actually, before I do that, I don't mean to be jumping, but I have another one I would share with you that I'm doing with the 2nd graders. Like I mentioned earlier, the 2nd graders, we started out the year with my many colored days and watching the orchestra play the music while at the same time that the story was being played. It was something that we watched so we can get all the instruments and in it as well, and the music. And the kids were making their own books. And so now that they're doing this story on my many color days and how the colors help them with their feelings and all that, I said, well, you know what? This is going to be a yearly project. So we came through Halloween, and Halloween, we did the same kind of thing. And I have one here where we just was working on for Veterans Day. So I will share that. Okay, let's see. Okay, so this is the kind of thing that we're adding to our each time we're adding to our stories, our storybook. And so they they answer these questions, so they have a little writing in it, and they're what their veterans color is, and they do this on their computer, because then I can print it off at home in color. So they open it up. They have this Cami thing here. I don't know if everybody's familiar with Cami, but this is ideal, especially if you end up going remote, which we almost did, but we didn't. So they can open up with Cami here, and it brings all these tools over here. So here they would write how on Veterans Day, I feel, I don't know, grateful or proud or whatever. And they write that in there. and their color is red, white, or whatever their color is. And what do they like to do on Veterans Day? And then here, they need to find 4 words that remind them of Veterans Day and write them in the boxes below. So here they'd write, I don't know, maybe they write Army or war and so forth. And they fill that in, and then underneath, they would come over here and go into their the shapes tool. And this is 2nd graders that are doing this, and they come over here and they would write the music shape for Army, which is kind of hard to draw, but it does take some time. And so they go and they do this. And for Army, I ask them, well, how many sounds do you hear in Army? And they already know about quarter notes and eighth notes and all that. So they're basically making their own rhythm pattern like that. And so, and then they put what they have there, and then they clap the rhythm that they created. And then I ask them if they know a veteran and who do they know. Once they're done, they turn that into me somewhere over here. I get, because mine's a teacher page, so it doesn't show me where to turn it in. And then I go over it and stuff, and then I'll print it off and I'll put that in their book. And that's part of their book. And then we did that for Halloween. But for Halloween, we did Halloween, they were given some sheets of paper of different Halloween, all different kinds of Halloween shapes or characters. And they would put the Halloween character here, and then they would write the rhythm for their character, and then we would share it that way. We can also, we did this with the Halloween one, their rhythms, they practiced doing their rhythms with a Halloween Monster Mash kind of songs that we found. So it was kind of fun. They enjoyed that. But for the 4th graders, let me get out of this one. I'm gonna have to stop sharing just for a second. I'm gonna stop sharing because by 4th grade, so that was 2nd grade. I've been kind of doing that kind of thing with them. And for 4th grade, it's a pretty big project on the states and capitals. Let me see if I can find that one. Yes. Okay. So I put this in their Google Classroom. So that it saves paper, first of all, and then we go over it this way. So we start with this one. We started this week. And I give them, because we need, so the students know that they have, whatever they're doing in music, they're aware of what the standards are that we're working on. So we kind of go over those. And I know this is kind of like, oh, the first part of it, they're like, oh, yucky. But, and we go over the learning targets, and this is what their learning targets that they're going to do. And as they go through the process, they check off these boxes. So like today we reviewed the standards and the learning targets and the rubric. And then they started with this next part, was naming they're going to choose a state, a capital, and they find 5 facts using another worksheet that I provide for them. And then they're going to choose an existing Christmas song, and they're going to, and there's a rubric that goes with that. So we're going to go down through these steps. And then at the end, they have like an exit questions of what did you like about this project? What did you not like about it? And if you were to do it again, what would you do differently? So we talked about that. We talked about what the rubrics would look like. I mean, how it's going up through what's expected for the content to get a 4 versus a 1, and the lyrics must be catchy or memorable. I'm kind of rushing through this pretty fast. I'm sorry. We didn't rush through it. We read through what it would look like if they had a 4, and a lot of them don't like to sing. So this is going to be the challenging part. Because we really haven't done a lot of singing because of COVID. And that's a personal thing. A lot of people don't like to sing. They rather play it or speak it or whatnot. So they do have those choices, depend, and this is what the rubric looks like. And then they have, this is where they choose their state or their capital, and then we find they find 5 facts, and they need to let me know what site did they find their information. And then this is where they're going to choose a Christmas song, and I will provide a large variety of Christmas tunes that they can play from, and that will include their state and their capital and at least 3 fun facts about their state, or they're going to create their own Christmas song or lyrics. I have a few that love to write music, so I think there might be a couple that might do that, or they'll just change it. Now, I tried this out for myself just to see. I said, this is pretty big for 4th grade, but I tried it out for myself, and I don't know how far we're gonna get with it because this is new and it's a little challenging, but when I did it for I kind of had fun with it. So I will show them what I did. I did mine over on Alaska, and I used the lyrics to Dashing Through the Snow. And I didn't bring that with me. I left that at school, of course. But it is, so I will, anyway, that's what I've been working on.
Those are fabulous. Now I want to play with Missouri, which we also pronounce misery, but
That could be fun. That could be fun. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I really love that. And the 2nd grade one where they're tapping the rhythm of the words, that's syllables.
Yeah.
So your ELA teachers are going to be really happy about that, because you're having them divide the words by syllables and,
Yes.
and get the rhythms that way. So you're integrating English language arts right there. Every time you do, dividing up words, that's what they're doing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I do that with a lot of the kids. Like today, I had a kindergarten group today, and we did the song on 5 fat turkeys and on short sounds and long sounds, and dividing the words up with how many sounds do you hear in fat, how many sounds do you hear in turkey, and turkey, and then rhyming words, which ones were rhyming, the we and the tree and sea, and I'd write them on the board, so they're getting the shapes of how the sounds and how they're rhyming and stuff, and I had them describe which ones which words are long sounds, and when we sing it, and which ones are short sounds, and then I have them use different, of course they're doing the different body, things that they're doing, whether they go through the story. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I think I've done those kinds of things for a long time, and we never really realized it, but I think we integrate more than we even realize that we're integrating. Now it's just communicating with our peers, and that did lead me to another question. One of the things I was wondering, and I was going through it, and I says, because my principal, we have a very, very tough evaluation, and one of the things that they look for is how are you, we have to have our standards listed somewhere in the room, so that we're working on, so the kids and we have, they need to see that what you're working on is going towards a standard, and it goes towards a learning target. And so I thought, well, geez, I don't know, they're so strict with me. I wonder how do they work with everybody else? I'm kind of wondering, but maybe I'm taking this to a different, whole different level. I don't know, but I looked up the standards for grade 4. I didn't talk to the teacher about this. I probably could have, and I probably should. But when I look at social studies standards, I didn't see anything about having to learn states and capitals in grade 4 for social studies or geography. It was more like the landforms. So I'm thinking states and capitals, isn't that more like grade 5 or grade 8? I don't know. Should I be looking at that, or should I be just taking the words from the teachers and they say, well, we don't have time to do states and capitals. That would be really something really nice to work on. But why would they even have to do that if it's not even listed in the standards?
Because that's what's important to the teacher.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, well,
Yeah, and you're doing it great. You know, you're making it meaningful and fun, and they're emphasizing rhyming words, which, by the way, a lot of kids do not get, because our brains learn to recognize sounds that sound alike and sounds that sound different when we're like 2 and 3 years old. If we are hearing a lot of rhyming words, but if we aren't, we have to teach it, and that's what you're doing. Okay. So you're teaching. Yeah, there's lots of integration going on there that you know, you might not be recognizing, but it's there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it sounds like a lot of fun. And now I want to go write my own state Christmas song.
Well, the kids, they were really excited about it. They're like, oh, I want Alaska. And I said, oh man, I did Alaska. I didn't want to give it. I was hoping nobody would pick Alaska because I did it for myself. And I said, okay. But does that, and that means I can't share what I did with Alaska because I'd be giving away all my answers. So
could you sing a little of it for us?
I don't have it. That's why I said I left it at school, but it's something, it had to do with the Iditarod. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but the
Iditarod. It had, and they were dashing through the snow, dashing through the glaciers, through the something Iditarod. I can't Iditarod, and it had to do with that. It had glaciers and Iditarod, and it had a lot of the landforms. So I'm like, oh yeah, I like this. And then being on the largest states, and you know, that was pretty cool. And I didn't realize there were so many volcanoes. They had more volcanoes in Alaska than anywhere. Yeah. Their landforms have basically been built by volcanoes. So.
Yeah, well, it makes sense now that you really look into it. But that's what I mean. It's like, it was really cool. I kind of had fun with it. So I'm thinking when we went over it with the kids today and they were looking at for some different things on it, some were like, wow, it's 13,000 rivers. And I'm like, yeah, wow. So, they were kind of excited about a lot of the things that they were discovering about their state. And I think it probably become memorable for them so that maybe when they do go into 5th grade or maybe 8th grade, or who knows, in life in general, they'll always come back to them and say, oh yeah, I remember this. I want to go there, so I think it would, I don't know. It was kind of exciting. And I was exciting to see that they were excited, because I pick up on that. If they were definitely not excited, I would probably say, you know what, guys, that was a good idea, but let's do something else next week. I do try to follow, I kind of try to follow what sparks them. And if it doesn't spark them, then I'm going to lose my motivation. And if I lose my motivation, they're going to lose theirs even more. So it's good. I get inspired by what they're inspired by. And I think that's, so you kind of let their leading with their inspiration. And if they're not inspired, it's not going to be any fun. And if it's not any fun, they're not going to like music. And if they don't like music, I'm not going to have any fun. So I would change my tactics at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, sudden scratch and turn.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to take a different direction. Yeah, this isn't going to work. So far it is working. But like I said, this was week 1. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, that sounds great. Oh, one thing I just had to say this. When you were talking about that, you have to go over the standards that they're going to be addressing every day. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you're familiar with Harry Potter, but in Harry Potter, when they sing the school song, everybody gets to sing their own melody. So they can just make up their own melody. So I might ask, okay, today, Jason, you're going to sing us the standards in your own melody. We're going to sing, we're going to dance, and just in the next person, we're gonna sing, we're gonna, but it would be so much fun, and they'd actually be looking forward to the standards that way.
You know what? That's a really good idea. I like that. Yeah. Well, forget about putting the words into the states and capitals into a song. Let's put their standards into a song.
But they're going to be mutually supportive.
That's right.
Doing both activities is going to help with both. So that's great.
Yeah.
And it'll give them a chance to get any kind of nervous energy out that they may have, or, you know, like you said, if they're apprehensive about singing a song that they're changing the lyrics to, if they can just make it anything they want and it's not reading it off a page, you know, like
Right.
Sherry suggested, I think that's a great idea for sure.
Yeah. It definitely makes it more fun than just, oh,
Yeah.
sorry guys, but we have to go over this. Yeah.
They'll be looking forward to it instead of sleeping through it. So
Yeah. That sounds good. Thank you.
welcome. Alexis, we get to hear from you.
All right. So, my project that I was looking into doing, I'm not doing it right now, but I was looking into possibly doing it in the springtime, was the Charlie Harper birds, and possibly hanging them on the ceiling and in the hallways and those sort of things. So I did some research and found some videos on like John James Audubon and about the Audubon and migration and all those sort of things. And then I looked into the classroom standards in science and looked those over. And then I started to have some ideas about making this project larger. And because I started reading about in their standards about habitats and how animals work within their environments and all those sort of things. So I mean, this has like been the last few days. I just was reading it and I was like, oh, I have this idea now of trying to separate the grades instead of all of the, you know, a bunch of grades doing birds or something, but splitting it up and having a whole like Maine environment, like habitats, like sort of project where I have certain like different grades, like, I don't know, I have to kind of look more through the standards, but maybe one grade learns about different animals, and then one grade learns about different plants in Maine, and then trees and those sort of things. And then having a few spaces in the school where and I think I'd probably get like, I have GT art class where I'd maybe get them involved in this too. And I always have some kids who finish early and want to have extra stuff to do too. So I think I could pull some of this kind of stuff off, but have like a beach scene and then like a marsh scene and then have like a woodland scene, and then try to piece these all together, kind of like a puzzle in the end, to create these installations sort of things. And that's one thing I have been looking into, is creating these larger scale art pieces where they work together more in a puzzle, and kind of it gets them. I did this Chihuly one, like I've been working on one for the last month, and where they are learning about glass art and stuff like that, and the whole idea, and seeing like a small piece and telling them, oh, it's going to be 10 times larger than this once everyone makes one of they're so excited. And I'm like, oh, I should just keep some of these larger pieces, like art pieces, going where the whole school is involved. And then in the end, the outcome could be not just, you know, one little art piece that they made themselves, but like all of them interacting. So because in their standards, it's like they talk about how plants and animals, how they interact with their environment. So I thought, why not teach them like shape, like the Charlie Harper shape birds and their animals, and try to intertwine it. And it's like a really big idea, and I'm gonna have to like spend a lot of time, probably my Christmas break, doing some stuff, like, you know, experimenting. But that's kind of where my brain has gone, and I like it. Kind of goes with artwork I make myself, so it really has gotten me excited to think about the type of art I like to make. So I'm hoping I can pull something from this, but we'll see.
That is totally fabulous.
Yeah.
The school will be turned into all of the habitats of Maine. So you're basically going to recreate the state representationally through art. And not just the state, the habitats themselves, but all of the some of the animals that live in those states. And you're going to be showing the relationships between the co-relationships between, wow, look at
I
all
don't know,
the
I'm
things
just,
to learn.
I don't know how much I can pull up. I'm probably gonna really simplify it, but I'm just thinking, okay, maybe like I really need to look at the standards more, but I know like they learn about plants. So then like plants, like what animal, what does this animal know like about this plant? Maybe they like to eat like blueberries, like what birds like to eat blueberries? Probably all of them, but like, you know what I mean? Like which birds should go near the blueberries, which birds go in the marsh, like which birds live on the beach, and really try to get them to not just create the bird, but understand the bird and
And this
understand
is
what it might
where,
be.
yeah, this is where those partnerships, Alexis, with your colleagues are going to be. This is where everybody gets to play a role in this
Mhm.
big school-wide production of what you're creating. And you know, it's you can even draw it out with students and staff collectively and say, what does it mean to look at aesthetics? What is this going to turn our school into? What is it going to look like? How are we going to feel
Mhm.
from seeing this and experiencing this and walking through this? And so, you know, this is one thing that I hope a lot of people are going to start to take away from arts integration workshops and just content integration workshops in general, which is content is not proprietary to particular teachers. It's not just because you're the art teacher does not mean that everyone else is forbidden from doing art. Because you're not a science teacher, you are not forbidden from doing science, talking about science and science terms and whatnot in the anatomy of these birds and why are they the size that they are and why are they the color that they are and what, you know, as soon as everybody can sort of break down this this strange sense of ownership and possession over content, and we can start to just say, how can we all just come together on concepts and transfer learning of concepts around and among and through all these different opportunities for students to learn. The minute we do that, the minute we're going to find ourselves elevated, it's just going to be amazing. So yeah, I say shoot for the stars. Don't think like, oh, this is really big. Go for it. See how big you can make it. And then always say,
I predict it'll
I can
get
make it
bigger every year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
every year,
It
because
just
more
get bigger.
teachers will get in on it and more ideas will come. You know, we all at every grade level, kids have to read for information, and typically then they are tested on what they learned, they read, and then or they write some boring paragraph about it, and then they forget it all as they move on to the next one. They're going to have to read for information to do this project, and that information is going to be meaningful and relevant to them, so they're going to remember it and then be able to transfer it to other things. So
because they have to physically make it, right? They have to read for in understanding and information, and then they have to transfer that into creating a visualization of that. I mean, I don't think it gets any more powerful than that. And that's lasting. Those are the kinds of experiences that if we have more of those, kids are going to be able to do things that we didn't think that they could do before at different grade levels. It's just going to be remarkable.
Yeah, and it really feels like this year, like I really spent a lot of time at the beginning of this year, like doing getting some simple learning things not really out of the way, but like just seeing where they're at to see if they can even handle something like this. But I think they can, because it's going to be this big community kind of project that I think that they will, they'll really want to accomplish this and try hard. And I also work at like trying to have things available for them to take home to do. Whether it's like a work, like I have things, I have an artist of the month thing that I do every month where I put an artist on this bulletin board, and there's a little blip about the artist, and then kind of like a coloring sheet of how to learn about. But I also have just like, how do you learn about symmetry? You want to try it? Like copy the same image over here. And I have kids, they want to do stuff. Like it's if you have something available for them, they just take it and go. So like I could see me putting something out about birds, and like every kid takes one and they tell me about it. So yeah, I think that it's something that I can accomplish as long as I can get them excited about it, and also having some teachers around here who who want to be involved, which I do think I do have some of those at my school, luckily.
You are lucky.
Yeah, because it's hard with that, and especially because I'm in between two schools. It's because there's that too. I feel like I have. It's almost harder to create these relationships with with these people because you're not around them as much. And I have teachers who I don't see every week, so it's important talking to them. Is what I've learned after my first year of being so busy that I didn't really have time to talk to them, but now I have the time to talk to them. I'm like, I need to talk to these people because I don't see them unless I put myself there. So
And
anyway.
what a great way to demand these conversations happen in a way, right? Is that, this is, you're attempting to think beyond the boundaries of your classroom, the silo that becomes the art room or the music room. You want to break those walls down. To imagine that anybody would not be even intrigued by the concept, by the idea, and just say, oh, well, heck, what I'm doing is kind of become lackluster and a little bit boring. So why don't I want in on this? Let's try something new. And really, I think when we can light some fires and make that happen, I think that it's going to take over. It's going to be remarkable. So I'm excited for you. I think that's great.
Thanks. We'll see how it works out if we all meet up again in the spring.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, I think we should meet up in the spring. I think we'll have to. I will put out like a doodle poll or something to try to get some information from you guys about when, it'll probably be a couple months from now, but it'll be like, hey, maybe we ought to touch base in April or May and see how things go, and I'll invite Sherry to come back, and because I know she'll be chomping at the bit to come back anyway to see how some of these work out. So yeah, for sure. So Sherry, any parting words for us? Looks like we're going to get done a little early tonight, but if there's anything that you want to let us know to sort of tie this whole experience together and give us some reassurance or some direction, we would love to hear it for sure.
You have inspired each other. This group has worked together to inspire each other. And if you take that same kind of energy into the school and inspire even one teacher, even one content area teacher or one pre-K teacher or a kindergarten teacher, that will spread because that teacher will spread it too. One tiny success, and it makes all the difference. So, okay, I worked with a teacher for, we had 6 sessions. She's a pre-K teacher who kept telling me, I don't do this, which was really depressing me because I thought, maybe you should be a 7th grade teacher. But because but anyway, I forgot this part. I don't do this. She was acting like a 2-year-old. And when it was time for her to do an arts integrated lesson for the whole class, she told me, I'm not ready. And she said, you'll have to come back. And I said, okay, that's great. I'll come back. That's not a problem. But tell me, you keep telling me you don't do this. What happens when I'm in the classroom? And she said, oh, the kids love it. And they learn so much and they really get engaged and they're really having a really good time. And I said, that's what'll happen when you do it too. So why don't you do this? Let's try it. I went back today and she did her arts integrated lesson plan. And she had a smile from here to here. She met me at the door. I'm so glad you're here. When do you see this? Okay, everybody, we're ready. I mean, I had never seen her excited about anything. And all of a sudden she was, ee! And when they were finished, she danced out of that room. She said, let's go talk about it. Oh, did you see how she did this and she did that and he did that? And I said, yeah, and I'm looking at you too, because they enjoyed it. But look at you, you're enjoying teaching. And she said, oh yeah. And I said, you're going to do it some more? Yeah. The arts integrated lessons she taught that she demonstrated only took 5 minutes, but her teaching of it had to have taken the last 2 weeks over, time. She didn't think about that because she was just like, look what we did. And she's now ready to be an ambassador for arts integration. So when you take that message and you demonstrate one little bit of success and enthusiasm, it's catching. And that's what you already have. You have those tools. And I can't wait to see what you guys do with it. And I'm always at the other end of the computer. I mean, I do check email and I do respond to email. So if you have questions or just want to bounce ideas around, I am absolutely happy to do that anytime.
That's great, Sherry. I could not have said it better myself. I think that anecdote that you just shared is encapsulates the experience that we all have the opportunity to do every time that we approach our teaching. So I think that that's really fantastic. And I'm excited again to see these little sparks turn into bigger flames, and then they just become something that is part of the culture. It's part of the school culture. It's part of the way students learn. That's the norm, not the exception to the norm, right? This doesn't become, or this transitions from being a special opportunity to do something integrated to everything is integrated. And when if there comes a point when doing math in a math classroom is strange, that will be a really weird world that we're living in if everything becomes integrated. And I'm excited to think that we have an opportunity to maybe push some things in that direction a little bit, which I'm really, really, really excited about. So, so thank you again, Sherry, for being here on this journey with us. And I look forward to having you back to not only see what's going on with this particular cohort, but to hopefully have a great inspiration and influence on another cohort that we'll hopefully have in the future. You'll notice in the chat, everybody, I did put the link to the participant survey. If you want to click on the link right now, it will open up another tab in your browser, and then you can complete it at your leisure. I will also follow up with it by email probably tomorrow with links to the video for these sessions as well. Don't feel like you have to complete that participant survey immediately. Take some time to think about your experience, and then please give me your honest, candid feedback, what you liked and what you didn't like. And I'm really thrilled that you all have decided to sort of take a step in this direction and to try this journey. And I'm really excited about an opportunity for us to follow up later in the spring and see how things are going. See if things need to be tweaked a lot or if things have gone exactly as you'd planned and they're awesome and everybody's just flourishing and having a great time. We will have lots of opportunity to problem solve and celebrate for sure. Anyone else have any parting words before we finish up a little early on this last session?
Well, I think you should celebrate yourselves for being willing to try something new, for reaching out. And I just can't wait to see what you guys do.
Likewise, absolutely. Jessica, we hope you feel better soon. We hope that your horizons look a little brighter. The sun will come up, and maybe some of this stuff, maybe you'll all just say, oh, to heck with it. Let's just try it. Let's do it. You know, what we're doing right now isn't working. Let's try something new. And maybe you'll see some miraculous, amazing things come out of it.
You know, I already have good ideas in my head. It's just when I hear about like 4th and 5th grade projects, I get overwhelmed and I start like applying those same concepts to my room. And I'm like, wait a second, you can't, you teach 5-year-olds. And
Right.
I get distracted by other people's lessons that they're describing. And I need to stay focused on the goals of my students. And if I do that, it'll simplify things and make things easier for everyone.
Absolutely. And as Sherry,
are fun.
yeah, for sure. And as Sherry said, she's on the other end of email and happy to troubleshoot and problem solve some things. We will all be connected by email because you'll have everyone's email address in the message that I send tomorrow. So feel free really to send ideas out, share documents by Google Doc or whatever. And, you know, I'm very happy to help support, as we all are, I think, in this cohort, to help support and continue that journey together.
Yeah.
Thank you
Great.
again, everybody.
Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you. Thank you. Sherry, I'll be in touch.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, everybody. Take care.